Hi everyone! Thank you for joining me today on the Healthy Olive channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about if processed foods are healthy for you, or are processed foods healthy for us? Well, before I begin, it's important to know what the definition of processed food is. And unfortunately, when processed food comes to mind, many of us think of fast food, candy, those frozen meals in our grocery aisle. We think of a lot of unhealthy foods that most of us should probably avoid. But this is not entirely accurate. Processed foods really have nothing to do with the nutritional value of certain types of foods. This is why it's important to know the definition before we assume what really any type of food is. Having that said, I'll go ahead and define what a processed food is. And a processed food is any type of food that has been manipulated before being served to people or before being purchased by the consumer. In other words, processed food is foods that have been either rinsed, drained, dried, dehydrated, canned, cooked, baked, etc. Which means that everything we purchase, unless you live on a farm, is generally processed in some way. Does this mean that the processed food is unhealthy for us? No, not necessarily. There are 5 categories of processing, and I'll go through each one so we can have a better understanding of what a processed food is. Starting with level 1, which is the minimal processing. Now, minimal processing means that the food is usually washed and then bagged. And great examples of this would be bagged salads, bagged spinach. It would also be ground coffee nuts, roasted nuts, and fruits and vegetables that are rinsed and then put in a package. Does this mean that these foods are unhealthy for us? No, it doesn't. In fact, these foods are very healthy for us, especially the fruits and vegetables. But for safety reasons, they're rinsed and then they're put into a container in order to preserve how long it's able to last. And that would be the processing level number 1. The second level is a step up from the first. And here's what I mean by that. The food is not only rinsed and drained, but it's also put into cans or jars to preserve freshness or nutrients longer. And examples of this would be pureed baby food, frozen fruits and vegetables, and canned tuna or canned fish and beans. Those foods are the second level of processing because they're in a container that preserves their nutrients and freshness at their peak, unlike the first level, which involves washing and packaging. The third level is where we get into the stereotypical quote-unquote processed foods. The third level of processing involves foods combined with sweeteners, oils, sugars, spices, etc. to make the food more appealing, to make it taste better, and for safety reasons. And these foods involve rice mixes, potato mixes, salad dressings, sauces, spice mixes. All of that belongs in category 3. Now, as far as the spice mixes and other mixes are concerned, they're in the third category because they do contain spices, and sometimes they'll also contain silicon dioxide, which is a preservative. And the third category, like I said, also does involve not only combinations of ingredients, but also combinations of foods, colors, and preservatives. The foods on this level are not ready-to-eat meals. They are foods that do need preparation. Cake mixes and rice mixes do need preparation. And the condiments, like salad dressings, well, those go in conjunction with food. I'm assuming most people don't consume condiments right at their state, unless it's with something. And that would be the third level of processing. The fourth level of processing are ready-to-eat meals. And these are foods that are the most popular, I would say. They are really easy to eat. And this would involve candy, breakfast cereals, granola bars, yogurts, etc. Those are the types of foods that are ready to eat. And yes, these foods also contain, most of them anyways, colors, flavors, preservatives, and other mixes of ingredients together. The final and last category of processing would be foods that are sustained for a long period of time. In other words, they have a very long shelf life. And these are the frozen foods that you find in your grocery aisle. And although they are not ready to eat meals, they aren't foods that take a lot of preparation either. Most of the time, they're usually put in the oven or put in the microwave, and they're ready to be consumed. And just like the third and fourth categories share similar characteristics with each other, so does the fifth category. The fifth category does most of the time contain preservatives, colors, flavors, and they have somewhat similar characteristics to ready-to-eat foods because they don't take a lot of preparation. And those are all the categories of processed foods. Now, does this mean that the food is unhealthy for us? No, it doesn't. Most of the food we could purchase from the grocery store, with the exception of produce, is in fact processed, and this doesn't mean that it's unhealthy for us. I'll go ahead and answer the question like I did earlier in this video, if processed food is healthy or unhealthy for us. Well, like I said, it depends. And just like I talked about in my how to tell if it's healthy or how to tell if it's unhealthy videos, look out for these ingredients anytime you purchase a food item. Look out for empty calories, refined carbohydrates like flour or any grain, heavy amounts of sugar, solid fats like excessive saturated fats and excessive trans fats. And trans fats are usually hidden in hydrogenated oils, so watch out for that ingredient. And of course, you want to look out for heavy amounts of refined oils as well. And that is all I have to say for this video. I hope you learned something new, and I hope this helped you realize that not all food is created equal. There are plenty of processed foods that are healthy for us, but a lot of us have a belief that processed foods, the term anyways, associates negatively with really processed junk food. And that's not necessarily true. But in some contexts, it can be. As I mentioned in levels 3, 4, and 5, they can be that. They can be unhealthy. So, having that said, always do what's best for your body. Listen to your body, and I recommend to always do the best you can and eat healthily. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I appreciate you coming to see this video. So thank you very much, and as always, take care.